Now, hopefully, the game and the season will get a restart for the Falcons come Sunday. They take on the Panthers. They are back home, and most of the attention is being paid to the passing game. What in
Yes.
the world are the Falcons going to do to jumpstart the passing game? And it's interesting because our guy, Josh Kendall, over at The Athletic, made a bit of an observation Sunday about Drake London. Apparently, he was incognito after the game and was not available for the media. So,
Right.
if that's true, and Josh, he's a great reporter,
Yeah,
so
he's
we're going to
yeah, Josh is a
assume
good
that
dude. Solid
Josh
dude.
said
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
it's the truth. Then you kind of wonder, what does that actually mean? And don't get me wrong, if he's frustrated, that's okay. He has every right to be frustrated. If he's targeted one time, one catch for 9 yards, maybe I'd be frustrated as well. Then I thought about this, and I've got a question and a statement all in one. At the end of the day, is it time for Arthur Smith to really figure out how to hold up his end of the bargain somehow, some way, getting London and Kyle Pitts the ball? Because if that was out of frustration, you certainly don't want your young players to tap out at this point in the season.
And I'll start with Kyle Pitts because we've had some
Yeah.
conversation about him because I think that Kyle Pitts is kind of used to it, right? Because a lot of times when players come in, a lot of times those organizations want to make sure those guys are doing and saying all the right things, right? They
Yes.
want them to uphold a certain standard, and we
Hmm.
already know how the Falcons are. They're gonna make sure their players are indoctrinated into what you're supposed to say, when you're supposed
Yep.
to say it, how you're supposed to do it. And Kyle Pitts has pretty much got that down pack in year 2.
Right.
He ain't gonna say anything that make people think that he want the ball or he's
Or he's
complaining or
malcontent. Nope.
yeah, no, on malcontent. Now that's not going down. However, Drake London is a rookie, and I want to go back to right before the Atlanta Falcons drafted Drake London, and I was going through, doing my research, and I started looking at some things, and one of the things that wide receiver coach TJ Yates said, he
Hmm.
said he believed Drake London when he and Arthur Smith went out there to visit with Drake London in those pre-draft interviews, because Drake London said, "I hate DBs. I don't like those dudes." That means what? He's a competitor. He
Yep.
doesn't like losing. Like he knows he's out there winning matchups, and he is.
Yep.
Just to go ahead and do that, just to go ahead and let you know, because guess what, T? I did a little bit more research. I know in the first 2 games, Drake London had 19 targets, 13 catches, and 160 yards and a touchdown. He had his first touchdown against the New Orleans Saints.
Hmm.
You know what his numbers were the next 5 games?
Yep.
25 targets,
Target.
T.
Like that whole, yep, that whole
Come on now. Like something is wrong. There is an issue there, because I understand it if we kind of, because we got a full snapshot of Kyle Pitts last year, right? The entire
Mhm.
season.
Yeah.
Like he was able to get 1,000 yards. He had the targets and all that stuff, but he was only able to get in the end zone once. I
Right.
get it. We kind of figured out maybe possibly what the issue was there, but
Mhm.
Drake London didn't practice in the after that preseason game, that first
Yep.
preseason game, maybe essentially like his first catch. After his first catch, they shut
Mhm.
him down. And this dude, mean to tell me this dude can coming off of that, whatever the
Mhm.
injury was, how serious it was, and come in the first 2 games of the regular season, and up until maybe like a few hours before the game, he really didn't know whether or not he was going to play or not.
Right.
And he comes in 19 targets, 13 catches, and 160 yards in the tub. And now he barely gets those amount of targets over the next 5 games, T.
Yeah.
Like, it's a problem. And you know what? And I'm putting all that stuff together. Now that this is how I feel, T. I'm not surprised that he wasn't nowhere to be found when the media was allowed to go into the locker room after the game. I
Yeah.
don't blame him whatsoever.
Right. Because and you got to kind of respect it if you can get away with it, because you'd
Yeah,
rather
exactly.
not say anything. It's almost like our parents used to tell us, if we can't
Ain't
say
got nothing
anything
nice to
good, don't
say.
say anything at all. So yeah, tap
Yeah.
out. If that's the reason you
Yeah.
tapped out, Drake, we are okay with it, because
Understood,
hey,
brother.
you could be frustrated because you saw the productivity and nothing has changed. I mean,
Right.
Kyle Pitts is still getting stuffed. So you're still more open than he is most of the time. So what has changed? I still feel like we just keep regressing. We just keep regressing back to the median. And I know we said it before and we have to say it again. Somehow, some way, Kyle Pitts needs to be your first read. Because let's
Mm,
face it,
yeah.
Marcus Mariota does not go past his first read. He does not go through his progressions more often than not. So somehow, some way, Arthur Smith, and we do still believe he is a great play caller. But if that's the
Right.
case, Kyle Pitts needs to somehow be your first read because at the end of the day, we want to have a conversation about the Falcons getting back on track against the Panthers. And that's not a difficult thing to do. I mean,
Right.
you can score on them if you do the right thing. But if you want to know about predictions on key matchups like that, and why is this a key matchup Sunday? Because the Falcons are still in first place. NFC South is crazy. They're still
Yes,
in
it
first
is.
place in the NFC South. Beat Carolina after Carolina beat the Bucks. Guess what? They take over sole possession of first place. So listen, you guys listen to us talk about it here on Locked On Sports Atlanta, but we also want you to check out Locked On NFL here on our Locked On Sports Network on Fridays. They will tell you predictions for Sunday games, Monday games, and I'm willing to bet they might talk about this one just because it has so many implications for this entire division. So again, it might be Saints Raiders because the Saints are still kind of in the mix in a crazy way.
Yeah.
Browns Bengals, AFC North is still very much up for granted. So those are the games that if you want to hear about them, you can check out Locked On NFL on your Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever your podcasts are. And I'm sure they, as we will, be talking more about who's going to be and what's going to be the most influential thing for that particular game. I would venture to say it goes right back to the group that we all thought was the best group for the Falcons early season that's now in big trouble. We just got word, Jarvis, late yesterday. AJ Terrell's week to week dealing with that hamstring injury. D. Alfred's day to day also dealing with a hamstring injury. And Jalen Hawkins is out because of
Yeah.
concussion protocol. And we are still waiting for word, for example, on Mike Ford. So there's still a lot of moving parts as it relates to the secondary just being depleted. And it kind of makes you think, okay, you could go back and maybe get Avery Williams back in that space. That might give you a little something, maybe more than you got out of Cornell Armstrong, no offense. But on the same token, look at your schedule. Panthers
Yeah.
twice, Chargers, Bears, Commanders, Steelers. So is it as dire as it appears today based on that schedule? I mean, I don't know that the Falcons need to necessarily explore the market because all of those games are winnable darn near regardless of who you got in the secondary. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, and because that's the thing, right? I'm not too concerned about Jalen Hawkins. Now, granted, he's been a really good player for the Falcons,
Mhm.
and I think he's gonna
Yeah.
show people that he's gonna be a guy that's gonna be exceptional as well
Mhm.
at some point through his development. But I with that being said, I'm not too concerned about the safety spot because you got a guy
Mhm.
like Eric Harris and Dean
Agreed.
Marlowe and or Dean Marlowe to be able to
Mhm.
step into to the fold for right there. But when you talk about not knowing what's going on with Mike Ford and D Offer is day to day. He may or may not play. He had a week off,
Mhm.
so he may be on pace to come back. But AJ Terrell being week to week, you
Yeah.
know that's the difference. You
That
know what that is. More than likely, I don't
yeah.
expect AJ Terrell to play this week against the Carolina Panthers. So
Agreed.
when you got your number one corner down, hopefully D Offer is back. And I still feel, regardless of whether or not how serious you are about making a move,
Mhm.
you need to have some conversations. You need
Yeah.
to see what's out there. I think you need to make some phone calls about some guys that you may or may not have your eye on. Maybe some
Mhm.
guys that may be on the trade block, or some guys who are looking for a fresh start somewhere, because we are a week away from the trade deadline, T. So
Yeah.
I think that that's something that I know Terry Fontenot is always talking about, how he's looking to upgrade. So
Mhm.
yeah, if this situation works out how to the point where you're talking about multiple weeks with AJ Terrell, you definitely have to pick up that phone.
Yeah. Yeah. And it just really depends because goodness knows the Falcons don't have a lot of capital to work with
Yeah.
regarding getting someone that
Yeah.
is at, I don't even want to say at AJ's level, but just comparable. But the good news is as well, maybe if you don't get what you need on the defensive side of the ball, at least you're going to get probably better on the offensive side because Cordero Patterson put a video out yesterday, started showing us sprints and things that he's doing to get himself back. So hopefully they'll get some firepower back on offense and that can kind of at least mitigate some things on defense. But
Yes.
If it's something that's stressing you out, each and every day as a Falcons fan, you know what you should probably do? You should probably get yourself a Built Bar,
Why
because
not?
that's the only thing that's going to be healthy enough for you to be able to weather the storm of what's going to happen at the bins on Sunday. So listen, we tell you guys all the time, there's the cookie dough chunk puff. That's the one that has the 100% real chocolate. And that's the one that also only has 160 calories, but you can get 15 grams of protein. So if you think about it, whether you're pacing the floor, from now until Sunday, will AJ play? Willie won't he? Or you get to Sunday and you find out that some of these guys, unfortunately, are out, and that stresses you out. Get yourself a Built Bar. That can really calm your nerves because, hey, I think chocolate is kind of a soothing thing, so to speak. So, again, you can take the locked 15 code, go to built.com. That promo code is going to get you 15% off your first order. So, again, if you want a snack that is at least going to get you through maybe a challenging week as you wait for the Falcons to bounce back, go to built.com, use promo code LOCKED15.
Locked on 15 to get that 15% off. Why? Who doesn't like a discount? Come on now. Y'all get right.